Hey everyone, it's Frog Slicer. I have a deck here that I am so very excited about. I answered the question that nobody asked, which is how consistently can I make a first turn Stars Assault mode? And first turn's not really possible in Edison format, but it's basically first turn. You do all your combos, you spam your cards down, then you set this card, and then at the start of your opponent's turn, you sack the Stardust for the Stars Assault. So what are we doing? I decided. Actually, here's what actually happened. Snack was going through her bulk, my captain, on Crow's Nest, and she saw this card, Ancient Gear Gajiltron Chimera, and she said, surely some deck can take advantage of this. And everyone on the team's like, probably not, but we'll think of something, right? And I thought about it for about a month or so. And then one day I was like, okay, well, it's a level 6 non-tuner for synchroing. What if you used Arcane Apprentice? So this is a 2-card Stardust, and this will search, Arcane Apprentice will search for Assault Mode Activate. So what are we doing here? We're trying to non-interactively make Stardust and search for Assault Mode Activate as quickly as possible, as consistently as possible. So the way we do it is with this and Gear Town. So we have 6 copies of Gear Town with 3 Terraforming and 3 Gear Town. And then you want to pop your own Gear Town to summon the Gajiltron Chimera. So one way to do that is with field spells. And my first thought was, hey, you could just use Captain Gold with E-Emergency Call and be redundant with E-Emergency Call just for Skyscraper. Okay, so you just have an E-Hero you search for, and Stratos can search for Malicious. All this has been, not all of this has been done to death, but every single Assault mode deck I've seen uses the Hero Engine. That is the known way to do this. You use Dark Grepher, and you discard Plague, send Malicious, and then if you have a Stardust in hand, you top deck this for Plague, and then you Synchro. If we're going to go minus anyway, you might as well do it consistently without turns of setup. And that's kind of my thinking. So eventually I was like, okay, well, there's other field spells that are similar to Captain Gold where you discard the monster to search for the field spell. It doesn't really matter. In that version of that deck, I didn't care about having Skyscraper. So I was looking around and I was like, okay, well, the dinosaurs. I was looking for the payoffs, and there is a payoff. It's called Volcanic Eruption, which I actually really like this card. This is a board wipe for spells, traps, and monsters. But it's not chainable. So this was my original build, had 2 of these. Okay. So we wanted a payoff for the field spell. That was the idea. That's why we were pivoting away from heroes. Okay. But instead of getting more of a payoff for your bad card, what if you instead could increase the chances you summon the Stardust to begin with? And that's actually what we accomplished with the Dinosaur Engine. So I have done the Copium Dinosaur combo, which is you just run Fossil Digs as redundant copies of Jurassic World. So you literally have 7 copies of this field spell card that you do not care about at all. But also these Fossil Digs can be Gilosaurus. So the flexibility of this is actually quite nice because sometimes you're using Instant Fusion as a level 3 with Fusionist and Diva to make a Stardust. So we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. So what is the deck doing? You do Gear Town, you blow it up with a field spell card or an MST or Heavy Storm. You search for a Gajiltron Chimera, and then on your normal summon, you're going to use one of your 7 level 2s, and you're going to synchro into a Stardust. If you have a Diva, then you're going to need the Assault Mode Activate or your Assault Beast. Same thing with Plague. So why these tuners in particular? That's where the really neat idea, and this is actually why I deviated away from Volcanic Eruption. So I cut Volcanic Eruption because you don't need a payoff in the form of themed cards, archetype cards that go with, that says the word Jurassic World. What I need something is that's a payoff for this field spell symbol. So although typically I'm just going to set a Gear Town and then play a Jurassic World over it just to destroy it, now I have a sitting duck field spell that does nothing. It's functionally a -1. But that's where Ancient Fairy Dragon comes in. Ancient Fairy Dragon has, I don't know if there's a deck in all of Edison format that uses Ancient Fairy Dragon better than this deck. You use both the effects to great effect. So this answers the question, why these particular tuners? Because if you have a hand that's Instant Fusion and then either redundant field spells or specifically a Gear Town or Terraforming, so either a Gear Town or 2 Jurassic Worlds, and then 2 level 2 tuners. Okay, this is a 5-card combo. Where are you going with this, Frog Slicer? Well, Instant Fusion plus 1 Diva plus 1 Gear Town is Ancient Fairy Dragon plus Stardust. And if you happen to have another tuner in hand, if one of them is Arcane Apprentice, now when you have the Diva synchroing into Stardust, typically you need to draw the right half of your deck, right? So you play Diva and you're able to do the Gear Town play, or you have a Gilasaurus or Instant Fusion to play with Diva. You go Diva Gilman with Instant Fusion to make Stardust. Then you have to have naturally drawn Assault Beast. So yes, it's a 3-card Stardust Assault. Diva, Gilasaurus, Assault Beast, for example. But if you had Instant Fusion instead, and you didn't happen to draw the right version of Assault Mode Activate, you have this exact same scenario. You have Diva, Instant Fusion, but instead of Assault Beast, your way of accessing Assault Mode Activate is Arcane Apprentice. You can still get there. And that's why this is so important. So this card, I did a ludicrous amount of silly math to justify that this card is in fact slightly less, like 0.25% less than 1 Terraforming in this deck. So you play an Instant Fusion, you normal summon a Plague or a Diva. Depending on what you have in hand, you're going to get either another Diva or a Gilman. Then you synchro with the Instant Fusion into Ancient Fairy Dragon. Use Ancient Fairy Dragon to destroy your Gear Town to trigger it if you need to. Or if you have, say, a Gear Town and a crummy Jurassic World, you can blow up the Jurassic World first to get a second Gear Town. So you can go Gear Town over Gear Town, then next turn you're threatening an OTK. We can get into those later. But yeah, so just the idea is instead of having a payoff for Jurassic World that is specifically named, we can use Ancient Fairy Dragon and then our abundance of tuners, because not every deck can really like comfortably run 7 level 2 tuners. So we're trying to maintain our ratios of tuner to non-tuner. And we made something that's actually quite consistent. So I'm happy to share this replay I have. I do have a bunch of matches. I've play tested this deck normally much more than any of my silly decks I usually play. But this replay I have here is still me solitaring. So if this video does well, maybe I'll share some more of me playing against actual people. But this replay is really good because it demonstrates many different approaches, many different methods of getting to Stardust Assault first turn. And I was able to get 9 first turn Stardust Assaults back to back. And it's not like I've grinded replay after replay to get here. Like this happens semi-frequently. Okay. So we're going to do a whole bunch of opening hands. This hand is pretty straightforward. You go Diva Gilman, summon the Gilasaurus, Synchronous Stardust, and you have the Assault Beast, so you go Assault Mode Activate, boom. Just like that. Let's see the next one. So here it looks functionally the same. Here we're going to go Gilasaurus, because we don't have the Gilman. Special summon Gilasaurus, Instant Fusion for level 3, normal with Plague, Assault Beast, Assault Mode Activate. We also could have done the other version with Terraforming the Field spell. Here, yes, we're doing the easy way. No, this is an interesting one. So here we go for an Ancient Fairy Dragon, a really aggressively minus Ancient Fairy Dragon, because we have a Popper and a shitty field spell. So we're going to blow up our own field spell to search for Gear Town, blow it up with MST, and then go Stardust Assault, special summoning the Arcane Apprentice. You can also see the value of Magical Mallet. Here, it's a pretty straightforward one when we hit Gear Town with the field spell. And we have a bunch of Garnet, so in later turns you would Mallet away everything and then draw under pressure, hopefully. This is a lot of tuners, but we get the combo, so we'll just do it the easy way. The field spell over field spell, search for your trap, easy peasy. When you have Arcane Apprentice, those are usually the hands that just get you there without much effort. When you have non-Arcane Apprentice hands, that's when you need a lot of extra effort. This one's just like that first hand where we did Diva Gilman plus the level 3, and we had 2 different ways to do it. If we had another level 2 tuner, we would have done the Ancient Fairy Dragon thing because we had to destroy Saurus to search for the Jurassic World like we're doing here. But Terraforming Jurassic World, just make it the easy way. Preserve cards. It's only 3 cards, and you go +1 with the Arcane Apprentice. So this one, it looks like it's another straightforward one. Although we could have done it, again, if this one had 2 tuners, And I think we were fishing for another tuner, but we had the easy way of doing it. Another thing is when you're using instant fusion, Upstart Goblin, you want to like weave it in between your cards. You have to look at your hand and be like, okay, do I want a second Gear Town here, or do I want to thin my deck as much as possible to potentially draw something I actually need? So here, this is about the end of the replay. So here we go full brick. I do end up de-bricking here, but this is actually something that can happen, and the biggest reason we run 2 Stardust Assaults. So I actually had a relatively decent hand, but the mallet, it goes -1, so usually you have to give up on a few different lines of play. But most of your Stardust Assaults are 3-card combos. So typically you don't want to assault a Magical Mallet away unless you have either a Gear Town or an Arcane Apprentice in hand. Because even though you can mallet to like dig, and for the purposes of this replay, I was fishing as much as I could, the hand was actually okay without it. But yeah, so there's about a 2% chance that you open double Stardust Assault mode activate. So about once in 2 large-scale tournaments, you're going to double brick on Stardust Assault. And even then, you run 1 mallet, potentially more if you guys want to tweak the build, and Plague Spreader to de-brick them, right? But that's most of it. There's a lot to say. I have a lot to say, but I wanted to keep this one quick. I'm kind of committed to playing this deck for a little while, so we're going to see if we can't push the limits a little bit more. I found a way to make it fast. Let's find a way to make it strong. But yeah, thanks for checking out the video, guys. I appreciate you. See you next time.